You're watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
Welcome back. Well, much like a drive down Broadway, it has been a bumpy ride for the Lubbock City Council's plans to repair our streets. After voters shot down their initial bond package last November, they turned to citizens for new ideas. Here's what they came up with: $200 million for a new bond that would repair and expand 15 major arteries all around town. That package is much the same as it was last time, but with one critical difference. This time, Broadway and its bricks were left out. The council hopes that may sway more voters to support the bond this time, and they're already planning an improved communications campaign to educate people on the plan ahead of November. And joining us now to talk about the road ahead is Lubbock City Councilman Steve Massengill. Councilman, thank you so much for being here.
You bet, Ryan. Glad to be here.
So this is now our second shot at a big road bond that you've been saying forever is already long overdue. 2009 was the last time that we did this. What makes you confident that this time is the time that it's finally going to get past the finish line?
Well, what makes me most confident is we have a plan for communication should the council call the election. It's going to be very important that we have citizens rally around this. It's going to take more than the council to sell it, and so communication is going to be key.
Can you specify the key differences between this package that we hope to bring up in November and the one that failed last November? What do voters need to make note of that may convince some people who may have voted against the last one to bring them over to vote for it this time?
I think the most significant change is that Broadway's not in the package. Something I'm disappointed with. I still feel like Broadway is a critical need for our city right now, but Broadway will not be in the package.
And why is that? Take us through that reasoning. It seems like the conventional wisdom was the last package failed because too many people didn't see the value of Broadway, or they thought we were spending too much on that. Do you think taking that out is going to rally enough support this time? Is that the thinking?
Yeah, first off, I think there was sticker shock with Broadway. And, you know, whenever we address Broadway, I don't know that that gets any better. The reason that it's so expensive is the utilities that have to be. When you rebuild a street, you have to redo the utilities. That's a 100-year-old infrastructure in some places. So, you know, I think that's important. The other thing is that Broadway just became polarizing, and I guess the way it was opposed and the way it was talked about, it just became a polarizing issue, and we won't have that this time.
Yeah, it is so interesting to watch how a street can become such a hot button issue, but Broadway has done that.
Well, I think it probably was carryover from the Civic Park. You know, there's people that are very supportive of the downtown Civic Park, and then there were people that were very opposed to the downtown Civic Park. And then when you follow that with the discussion of Broadway and rebuilding it, coupled with a few other things, political, it just became polarizing.
Yeah, but you have been very outspoken about trying to get something done on Broadway. If not in this bond, what is the plan? Do we have a separate plan to try to do something there?
That's a good question. So I won't give up on Broadway. Broadway's still a priority in my mind, and it should be for this council. And as I hope we call the election, I also hope that we form a plan to move forward where we can design Broadway and then find a plan to fund it from that point forward.
Yeah. You mentioned the sticker shock of the first bond proposal that failed in November. What's interesting to me is this one is actually about $25 million more. It's a slightly higher tax increase. What is the argument that the council will make to voters to say that this time it is worth it?
Yeah, so first, just to clarify, the sticker shock that I was talking about was Broadway.
Just on Broadway, sure.
You know, our committee, I like the way our committee chair said this, is they talked about the needs before they talked about the price. And we all know that inflation has affected everything, and there's some inflation factors built into this new proposal, but I hope that voters don't differentiate between 175 and 200 million. I hope they look at the needs and what the committee has come up with.
Sure. That's just what it costs to make all of the repairs that we need, right?
Yeah, and it's just going to get worse if we don't address it today. I mean, you said it when we started talking. We haven't done this since '09. A lot of growing communities, especially in our state, you see them do these bonds every 4 to 5 years. And so I'd really like to see us get in a cadence where we could do something like that, because I don't believe our growth is going to stop anytime soon. I hope it doesn't. And so this doesn't finish our needs. We will continue to have needs as we grow.
What do you think explains that increase in price, though? If we look to last year, that package was $25 million less, and it did have Broadway. It seemed to do more even for a lower price. Is that just because of inflation, or
yeah? There's inflation fears built into it, and I hope that at the end of the day that if we do call the election and the voters feel like it's something we need to move forward with, that we're able to complete those projects for less than that price tag. Here's a case in point. When you look in my district and look at 114th, which would be Indiana back towards the interstate, and slide the segment of 114th Street slide west, both those segments are now $3 million more than the estimate we had in the November. So and there has been increases, adjustments already on the two segments we're doing now. Hopefully that won't be the reality when we do the projects, but those projects are $3 million more.
You've been saying if you call an election. Is there any doubt in the council's mind right now that you will? Are there any holdups that could prevent that?
I don't think so, and I just say if because we haven't had the vote.
Sure.
And I would never want to put or speak for the other council people. So I feel real confident that we will, but until we do, I will say if. Okay. Or when.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, we know how important it is. We'll be watching that vote this week. But this has taken up a lot of oxygen recently. What else is the council focused on in this new term that you think is important to discuss?
Well, to finish our budget process. You've got 4 new council people that have never seen the process. We spent a couple of long days a week before last on budget, and I think the staff did a really good job of conveying the information. I think the debate will be, luckily we're in a situation where we can lower the tax rate. I think the debate is going to be where we lower the tax rate to.
Okay. What has it been like leading the new members through that process? You're one of the more senior members now. How have they been acclimating to all this?
Well, I think they're still acclimating, and I think they've acclimated very well, but they'll be drinking. Everyone uses the term drinking from a fire hose for quite some time, but budget is pretty good baptism into the process. But they'll continue to get acclimated. They learn how to react to constituents. They learn to deal with problems in local government that they've never dealt with before.
Well, all right, Mr. Massengale, thank you so much for coming on to talk with us. Good luck to you and to the rest of the council as we wade our way through this new bond process.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
Still to come, from the city to the county next, we'll check in on the status of that long-delayed expo center, and we'll review the week's top political headlines.